So, what's going on, everybody? I just had a video put out a little while ago talking about the Yankees looking into a almost 100-year-old pitcher, Rich Hill. If you haven't seen it, go take a look at it. He's throwing for teams today. But the Yankees made up a trade. Well, they did make a trade a little while ago, and I got to go shout out to Jonathan, my Prime Minister of Valuable Intel, my PMVI. We're getting the intel. They made a trade, okay? Now, can they still make trades after the trade deadline? They can. It just can't be. They can't acquire major league roster players. They can acquire minor league players. Okay, and they just did that. And see this guy right here? This is Cam Eden. He's a 26-year-old player. Played most recently with the Toronto Blue Jays. Okay, and why am I, talking about this guy? Why is it important? Well, there's a couple little things here. His stats aren't flashy by any stretch of the imagination. Batting 198 this year, 7 home runs, 35 ribbies, but with 26 steals. Okay? And his career in the minors over the last 5 years, he got 27 home runs, 166 ribbies, 153 steals. Okay? So if speed is a skill set that's really, really important, the Yankees are looking to add it. And I think that's what they did here. And again, the other thing, he's got 6 career major league at-bats. What does that tell you? His service clock time has not started yet. So he's got 6 years of control at 26. So he could be a valuable late inning, piece for the Yankees. Could be, somebody to come on and be a base runner, pinch runner, and so on. Somebody to break up double plays. Somebody to not get doubled up to begin with. Somebody to steal bases. Because look at some other stats I looked up here recently, okay? Now let's look at the major league team leaders right now in stolen bases. I'm going to give you the top 10. The Reds are first. The Nationals are second. The Brewers are third. The Rays are fourth. The Phillies are fifth. The Red Sox are sixth. The Guardians are seventh. Cubs 8th. Angels 9. Royals 10. Okay? Now, of those teams, the Yankees could face the Guardians, the Red Sox potentially, the Phillies if they get there into the World Series, but there are teams here like the Rays who could prevent the Yankees from getting into the playoffs. So I think getting a guy like this to counter some of their more athletic players is probably a good idea. And again, it's not a flashy move. I don't know the return yet, but doesn't really matter. This is a non-blockbuster trade. They definitely did not give up and I'm continuing to look here, but batting average per team, okay? You give it a top 10. The Padres lead at 265. Red Sox second, 262. Astros third, 259. Brewers fourth, 259. Diamondbacks fifth. Phillies sixth. Orioles seventh, batting 254. The Royals are eighth, 253. Twins ninth, 252. Yankees are 10th at 252. So it's a lot of teams above the Yankees there in batting average. And some of those teams are on the same list of teams that lead in stolen bases as well. So then it entertains the runners in scoring position conversation. Okay? And this one could be a reason why. And I'm not saying the Yankees are going to bring them up this year, but they could. The rosters do expand by 2 guys. They go from 26 to 28 in September. I'm going to guess Jason Dominguez is going to be one of them. I'm also going to guess the pitcher's probably going to be the other one. They also have a lot of roster moves that they need to make. Okay? And again, Cam Eden, don't know what he's going to bring here, but he could be one of these improving around the margins weapons for the Yankees. Okay? You let me know what your thoughts are, gang. Shout out to everybody in here, by the way. Jonathan's in here. Deb, the Devastator. Stephen B. What has happened? Return was cash considerations. Thank you, Jonathan. So they gave up cash considerations for Cam Eden, right? And nothing of value other than cash considerations. Excuse me while I'm trying to eat lunch here. I'll keep this relatively short and sweet, gang, but they did make a trade. And even after the deadline, the Yankees are looking to make these minor trades. And again, I talked about controllable years at the deadline, right? Every player that they added at the deadline, Jazz Chisholm, Mark Leiter Jr., and Yul De Los Santos, they all have multiple years of control left. They're all free agents in 2027. So after this year, there's 2 more years after that. Controllable years, which is, again, going to facilitate helping the team, making it easier to re-sign Juan Soto. Because at the end of the day, that's objective number one, right? And the Yankees are also going to be probably minus, I would say, 4 or 5 relievers after this year. And I think it's going to be 4 or 5 relievers. Okay. Hang on 1 second here. Let me get this. Okay. He could be a potential September call-up. He could. Yeah, Jonathan, they did place Carlos Carrasco on the IL. Good afternoon, Yankee Kyle. And again, I'm sending this over to you, Jonathan. In case you 1 second. In case you want to join and add some insights, I just sent you the invite. CT cards in place. So again, for those that had just joined, the Yankees made a little trade with the Blue Jays. Cam Eden, okay, a young 26-year-old player with a lot of speed, and got 150 plus stolen bases so far. And well, exactly, that's the thing, Jake Buss, right? I haven't heard of him either. I didn't know of his name until Jonathan shared it with me. So, and again, but these are the types of names like that could be difference makers later on. His speed could be a valuable asset. And again, like right now we have what? Jazz Chisholm with speed. We've got Anthony Volpe with some speed, but he might be day to day, right? And if after fouling a ball off his foot, his X-rays did come up negative, which is good. But you know, what else do we have beyond that? We've got John Birdie. He's coming back from an injury. He's one of the faster players in baseball, which is a good thing. But that being said, Cam Eden is only the guy that represents that type of speed. And again, he is in. I'm looking for his. He's an outfielder, so he can give us some outfield depth, right? And I mean, Jonathan can add some insights to it if you like, Jonathan. You know, what are your thoughts on this trade? And thank you again for sharing the intel.
For the trade that we just made, I missed your last minute while I was calling in.
I was just saying that, you know, he's an outfielder, 26-year-old outfielder, and again, his service clock hasn't even started yet. So he's 6 years of control with him.
I understand. Yes, I like the trade. It helps with their speed because the one thing they've been missing this year is the speed.
Yep.
They haven't been running. One thing I do not like this year at the most out of everything else is they haven't used their speed. Volpe hasn't stolen as much as he should.
Yeah, Volpe's got. Let me pull up Volpe's stats, but like Jazz Chisholm's stealing some bases.
Jazz
Chisholm, players in baseball. He's yet to come back. So if Cam Eden somehow becomes a September call-up or whatever, he could add that added speed of element. Because you're right, added speed element of speed to the lineup. Because with the exception of those guys, who else do we have that's causing disruption on base paths? Really nobody. And the players and the teams that we might face in the playoffs, you know, the Red Sox, Guardians, the Phillies, like they're all in the top leaders of stolen bases.
I mean, if you remember, I talked to you about this much earlier in the year about the '98 Yankees. The '98 Yankees were a well-balanced team, and they had 6 players in the starting lineup with a batting average over 290, and nobody hit 30 home runs.
Yep, well balanced.
That was a very well balanced. They need to. Also, I think they had plenty of guys with speed on that team.
They did.
They had Homer Bush, Jeter could steal.
Yep. Bernie, they had steals.
Bernie, yeah. That's one thing they need to get back. They need to. I think this year's Rule 5 draft will be very interesting to see who they choose to protect.
And again,
I'm sure you're gonna do a video on that after the season.
Yeah, and then this is why, folks. Like Jonathan brings up a good point because anybody who's on the 40 is automatically protected from the Rule 5 draft. If you're not on the 40-man roster, but you're a highly touted prospect, you are exposed to the Rule 5 draft. And the Yankees are the team that gets pluck the most in the Rule 5 draft. Teams loot the Yankees every year. What do they lose? Like 10 players this past year in the Rule 5 draft? 8?
Yeah, they've been losing players in the Rule 5 draft for the past 3 years.
Yeah, a lot of them. So, and you have to be on the 40-man roster to be protected from the Rule 5 draft.
Yeah.
So,
fortunately, only I think 4 of those players have become something good.
yeah, and then, but still, I mean, that's what makes it hard, because and that's what makes the 26-man roster so much harder, because you have to be, generally on the 40-man roster to be considered 26, obviously.
Well, another rule I do not like that they made is that you can only bring up 28 guys. I personally would expand that to 30 or 32.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that too. 30, 32. I understand 40 was too much before. I get that.
Yes, I agree. 40 is too much, but 2 extra players, no, maybe 4 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's likely going to be 1 bat and 1 arm, right? Yeah. Likely, but I don't know.
But I think in the next CBA they should increase it to at least 30.
I would agree too. And again, keep this in mind, folks. Like, how many guys do the Yankees potentially have coming back? At least 6, I would say. That's almost 25% of the 26-man roster. That's likely to change.
We have to. Everyone has to remember the Yankees have been missing the majority of the great. They haven't had a full roster for the entire year.
Yep.
Cole was down. Cole hasn't even come back to what he was before he got hurt. So if Cole can give us a rest of the year of being near Cy Young Cole, maybe, then I could see a good chance in the playoff run. But honestly, I could see going into after the season, I could see Cortez getting traded for something, because he was already on the trade block.
Mm-hmm. Look, the fact that you're looking at Rich Hill, who's 44, okay, he's like 13 years older than Nestor Cortez. Doesn't really speak highly of Nestor Cortez, in all honesty. Like, we have Tim Hill is the only lefty reliever right now. We got Victor Gonzalez, but he's in AAA, and he's not even on 40. So, aside from that, who do we have? That's why I've been a proponent of moving Nestor Cortez to long relief for a long time and being the lefty swing guy, like to complement Luke Weaver, who's the righty swing guy.
And I agree with you, because especially Cortez has experience in the bullpen.
Yes, he does.
Before his breakout season 2 years ago, was it now? He was a long man in the bullpen.
Mm-hmm. Mitch, just to answer your question, they can make trades. They just cannot acquire major league roster players. They can't acquire or trade for somebody who's on the 26. They traded for a minor leaguer who's playing with the Blue Jays. That's why they can make that trade.
Only minor league trades. So I don't think they can trade anybody on the 26-man roster.
No, but this guy could eventually be called up, but he can't be on the 26-man roster while he's part of the trade. So that's just the little technical difference in terms of the trade deadline. So, I see, Tyler, Talbot, I see Nestor and Jose Trevino being dealt. If you're talking about Jose Trevino, right? Yeah, I see both of them being dealt this offseason. I would have thought they were good candidates to be dealt at the deadline, but neither one of them removed.
I mean, the way this deadline was, I think that Nestor Cortez could have. You could have gotten a bigger offer for him at the deadline than you will after the season.
Mm-hmm. And look at the return that the Blue Jays got for Kikuchi. And that was considered grand larceny, like a bank robbery. So they fleeced the Astros. Well, Astros got that on now. That could come in handy for them in the postseason. Yes. Now Kyle Tucker coming back, Verlander coming back, they have a whole new mojo over there in Houston. So, and Kikuchi's probably that non-sexy player who's going to be impactful for them in the postseason run. So,
let me see if there's any other moves. I wouldn't think so, though.
No, and the 2 lefties that we thought might have been available weren't moved anyway, Crochet and Skubal. So maybe they weren't available to begin with. Just smoke.
The Twins lost a pitcher.
Who they lose?
Joe Ryan diagnosed with a grade 2 teres major strain.
Yeah. Okay.
He's likely to miss the rest of the season. I'm not familiar with a teres major strain. I don't know that type of anatomy, muscle anatomy, very well. But
Yeah, there's a lot of muscles in the body, man. So
I know my I thought about taking that class a long time ago, and I decided against it.
it's crazy, man. There's a lot of muscles and a lot. The musculoskeletal system is very, very extensive. Mitch, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of real rules with these trades that are not. They don't really explain to us. I mean, like that's why, like folks like myself, Jonathan, like we read the MLB rule book and we get greater insight looking at it. We'll have guests on. We'll ask them about it because there's certain rules that we didn't know. You know, and like nobody really said only major leaguers can be traded at the deadline. I didn't hear that from anybody. Right? Did you, Jonathan?
Major league, only major league at the deadline. I think I thought that once you're on
You can trade
only
up to the deadline. After the deadline, you can't trade major league players.
no major league players. No, only minor league players can be traded after the deadline.
Yeah.
After the deadline. The deadline is major league. I think 26-man roster or 40-man roster players. Probably 26-man roster.
26-man because they're automatically on the major league roster.
Yeah,
That's
so
active roster. 40 man's not. It's active and
after the trade deadline, it's major. It's only minor league players can be traded. Before the trade deadline, it's anybody.
And I agree with you, CT Cards. I mean, Crochet, he killed it for himself, killed it for his agent, killed it for his team, the GM. Like he he screwed it up so much, Crochet. And I agree with you. I don't think Scuba was ever available either.
No, Scuba. Scuba Tigers would never trade Scuba. He's basically a building. He's the main piece in Detroit.
Yep.
If they traded Scuba, who would their fans come to see?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they moved Flaherty, and yeah, I mean, so Tyler, you probably heard this, but like initially, the Yankees were going to flip Cortez to St. Louis right after acquiring Jack Flaherty, but his medicals came up not clean, so so they backed out of that agreement. They had a verbal agreement, and they backed out of it because of the medicals, so that Cortez wasn't moved. That's generally the main reason why.
Do you think those medicals were? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know really what to think. Usually, if the medicals are shaky, I would always say no.
I would say no to a pitcher if the medical's shaky. That's where you can have a sustainable injury.
That is why I never wanted Kevin Brown. Years ago.
Yeah, Kevin Brown disaster.
Kevin Brown was a
make waiver
and Jared Wright. They were both injury-prone players.
Yeah, they're both terrible. The Yankees.
I mean,
make waiver claims. Yes, they got to clear waivers, and the Yankees are generally at the back of the waiver line anyway, so they've got to clear. And the Yankees don't clear a lot of players off waivers. But you can clear out waivers, and they become an unrestricted free agent. Then you can sign them if you want as a free agent at any point in time. Say, yeah, I mean, I didn't want Tommy Edman either. And that was supposed to be the trade, Tyler, right? It was supposed to be Cortez to the Cardinals for Edman, but Edman went to the Dodgers instead with Flaherty. So, in two separate trades.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. I mean, Edman, he wasn't an upgrade over Oswaldo Cabrera anyway. So I didn't see the point in getting Tommy Edman. But we'll see what he does for the Dodgers. You know what I mean? Crow can enjoy. Yeah. Exactly, Jake Boss. He can enjoy his time with the Sox versus a contender. Yeah, right. Pitching, Nathaniel. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us are concerned about pitching. It's kind of. I mean, they lit the world on fire the first 2 months of the season, and then they kind of fell off the face of the earth. The pitching. It's been.
So in other news, what do you think of the latest news about Volpe?
I mean, X-rays are negative. He's day to day, so I think, if he goes to the IL, like a 10-day IL, then I would call up Peraza since Birdie's not here, right? That's kind of the only thing I would do. What's your take on it?
I think they're going to be very cautious with him. It's going to be a day-to-day.
It should be.
But depending on how he feels, look, none of us know what the doctors are saying right now. But if he needs an IL stent, they should put him on the IL immediately.
Yeah, and call up Peraza, get that roster spot filled.
Yes.
And if he needs to sit a day or two, just play Oswaldo Cabrera.
Yes.
And that's to me, those are the only.
He shouldn't. The last thing I want him to do is try to push through an injury where he doesn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want to injure that kid right now, right before, we're in the last third of the season, and we need to make a strong run to try to win this division, because then it's going to put them in a better playoff position if they do that.
I mean, the only thing about Volpe that I would have liked to see more this year is more base stealing.
Same. How many stolen bases does he have? Let's pull this up. What does he have? Anthony Volpe's got how many? Let's
How
look.
many stolen bases?
Volpe's got 20 stolen bases this year.
20 stolen. And how many attempts?
He's on par with matching last year. He had 24 last year. So he's going to match it because, the difference. Last year he batted, 210?
Yeah, last year he was batted 209.
209. He's batting 257 right now.
257.
And he's on pace to winning another Gold Glove. So his batting average has improved substantially. And looks like he's going to be relatively even with the stolen bases. But again, I'd rather have 4 guys stealing 20 or 30 bases than just him. So,
yeah.
That way, if he's not on base and Jazz is on base, they can drive Jazz in. If they have somebody like this guy Eden on base, they could drive these other guys in too. So
that's one thing about Birdie is helpful. Birdie is another speed guy.
Birdie's one of the faster guys in baseball. So he's he's fast like Ellie De La Cruz. So, and I'm looking forward to having him back so he can.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many stolen bases will De La Cruz finish with. I don't know how many he has now.
Let's say Ellie De La Cruz. He's got 59.
59. So he's probably going to easily get to 70.
I would say. Acuna got to 70 last year. And he was 30-70 or 40? No, 40-70 last year, right? Or 30-70.
Yeah. From what I think what I heard is wasn't the last guy to get 70 before last year was what's his name? Juan Pierre in 2006?
Yes. Yeah, and they ran rampant on the Yankees. When they played the Yankees in the World Series in 2003, Juan Pierre and what's that other guy? Luis Castillo, I think his name was. They drove the Yankees nuts on the base paths.
Yeah.
Drove the Yankees nuts.
Yeah, and that's also one thing the Yankees have never really built up is a speed. Young guys with speed. They haven't had a young guy with speed since maybe Homer Bush.
Yep.
That's a long time ago.
Clark and Birdie is supposed to be back in the next couple of weeks. Clark's about to start his rehab assignment, Nathaniel, and Birdie should be back in a few weeks as well. So,
I'm guessing Clark will be back within the next 2 weeks, probably.
I hope so.
My guess is the third of between probably within the next 2 weeks, I would say by the 20 between the 20th and the 25th. That's my guess.
I think so too. I sure hope so.
Yeah, 10 to 14 days maybe.
He'll give some of these other guys a break, to make it easier for him to sit Torres without having to call up Peraza because he can't be optioned anymore. This is the other thing about Peraza. Once you have him up here, you can't send him back down. You have to trade him or release him. He's out of options. So that's another thing with Peraza. If you're going to bring him up here, he's got to stay or you got to trade him.
Then if that's the case, they're probably not going to wait until September.
Could be.
I mean, that's why I think they're waiting. That's what I think they're doing with Dominguez. They're waiting until September to call up Dominguez to prevent him from
30 at-bats.
Having his I think he needs what?
130. He has
130 at-bats.
98 at-bats. He can get 98 at-bats. It'll take him to 129. As soon as he hits 130, it triggers his rookie status.
Yeah.
It's his first pre-arb year. And do you want to basically hit play him the last month and a half and lose a whole entire pre-arb year. I don't think they want to do that.
So yeah, Dominguez won't come up until September,
I agree.
and they won't give him the 99 at bats.
No,
even if he has to skip a couple games.
Does Vivas have options?
He should. He doesn't. He's not even pre-arb yet.
Let's see.
I don't think Vivas is in pre-arb yet. He's basically in the same boat as Dominguez.
Yeah, let me see here.
At least that's what I think. I'm not.
He's batting .241 right now. 5 homers, 31 ribbies, and 13 steals. He might have options. Vivas, I think you're right.
You know, the one guy I would like to see that nobody had talked about is Caleb Durbin.
Durbin's another one. Yep. I know he's had some injuries earlier on the season, but he's another guy. He's another stolen base type of guy too, who could be a weapon in the infield. And he's another guy. He's Torres at second base.
Well, Caleb Durbin is another reason why I would hope they would have just traded Torres for international money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even if they got international money, get rid of his contract. Hello, Caleb Durbin.
It's far too often has Torres either made defensive blunders or striking out to end the game. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I do not know why they're so loyal. The Yankees are so loyal to certain players. For what reason? They're basically the players are your employees. They work for you. The fan base. If they don't do their job, find them another job, and try to trade them away. If someone can give you something. I mean, remember, the Yankees got a beater for Gallo. I'm sure they could have gotten something for Torres.
No. Sunil wants them to trade. We need a pickleball player in New York, don't we, Sunil? Well, you'd be the first guy they should call for pickleball. Caleb, I mean, Caleb Durbin, you got – let's pull up Caleb Durbin's stats here. He's another guy like Caleb Durbin. And he's off an injury now. He's back. Yeah, he's got batting .282, 3 homers, 39 ribbies, 22 steals. He's another guy that could steal bases.
And he also had a high on-base percentage. His on-base percentage is 116 points better than his average.
Yeah. His OPS is .830. So his on-base percentage is 398. His batting average is .282. His slugging is 432. It's not bad, man.
And he had 22 stolen bases.
Yep, 22 steals, and he's got how many? He's got 20 doubles. So he can drive. He can hit the ball into the gap as well. So he's a good contact hitter.
I'll be very curious if they find the space with him on the roster and call him up in September.
Could be.
He's not on the 40-man.
At that point, if they're not getting what they need from Torres, they should just DFA the guy. Because you're not going to get anything for him now at this point anyway. So
if that's the case, you might as well see what you have in Durbin for the last month of the season.
Yep.
Forget about Torres. You're paying him anyway. You have two choices: pay him to not play, or pay him to make errors and suck.
Yep. And again, they're paying Durbin too. So might as well just play Durbin, get better production, hopefully, get better energy. You're still going to pay the same amount of money.
I mean, do you have a feeling that the Yankees' way of doing things changed a bit with when what's his name died? Not Steinbrenner, yes, but also who was the GM before the GM that died?
Michael?
Hold on a second. I'll have to stop this.
Gene Michael, right? So yeah, I mean, Gene Michael was the GM, and again, like, he's taking a call, executive call, and they definitely displayed a more heartless way of doing things for a little while. But again, you could never question George Steinbrenner's wanting to win. That's no doubt about it. He just had a different way of doing things than his son. So, but yeah, they traded with the Blue Jays for a guy named Cam Eden, a very speedy outfielder. And again, his service clock hasn't even started yet, so he's got 6 years of control. He's 26 years old, okay? And he's got 150 steals already in his career in the minors in a short period of time. So he's another guy that he could complement. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be a September call-up or a guy that they could use next year as a fourth outfielder and maybe, replace somebody like Trent Grisham if they move him in a trade, right? So what if they do that? What if Jason Dominguez is the starting left fielder next year? They move on from Trent Grisham and Cam Eden becomes the fourth outfielder.
Sorry, I had to get that call for a second.
It's fine. So we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know. We really don't know what they're going to do. Eden could be the new fourth outfielder if they move Grisham in a trade.
As far as Neely, I honestly didn't want to trade Neely. I thought he would have been a good reliever, possible a good closer. But
I don't mind that now that we got Mark Leiter Jr. So I like Leiter Jr.
Caleb Durbin pulling up in the bourbon.
No idea. Suburban, yeah. You could be right, brother Bill. You could be right, man. Torres gets. I'm telling you, man. I'm quoting a lot of movie scenes here, Sunil.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be happy when Torres is not here anymore. He's a good kid and so on and so forth, but at this point, it would be the team. This is how a team can get better. Addition by subtraction, by moving on from Gleyber Torres. At this point, he could use.
They should have tried to see if they could make a trade. I wonder. I'm just curious. What was any offers for Torres? Did they announce any potential offers that they got for Torres that they may have rejected at the trade deadline? I have not seen any.
I haven't heard anything. Somebody asked about Ben Rice. I'm going to pull up Ben Rice's stats here. Let's see how many at bats.
Ben Rice is not doing so bad.
He's had 122 at bats, so he's close to the rookie threshold. So it's something I would keep. That's a good observation, Mitch. I mean, they could swap Rice with TJ Rumsfeld. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they want to mess with Ben Rice's momentum at this point.
Rumsfeld is not even on the 40-man roster.
Yeah, that's nothing too. Rumfield's got to be put on the 40-man, so they'd have to make a move there too.
Wow.
So
Ben Rice needs 18 more at bats to reach 140.
It's 130.
He's 130 here. It says it's 122.
I know, but the threshold is 130.
Yeah, eight more at bats.
Yeah, 8 more at bats.
So he's going to get that in the next 2 games. So he's definitely going to reach the rookie threshold.
This would be his first year pre-arb if he hits 130.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to hit it because you're not gonna not play him over 8 at bats.
No, exactly. And I'm more curious, Steve. One reason why I think Dominguez will be a September call-up, and they've called Jackson Holiday already. Jackson Holiday triggers the 130 this year, then he won't be in that rookie conversation next year with Dominguez. Yeah. We've talked about this before. And remember, if you have a player that wins Rookie of the Year, you get an extra draft pick. They want to put Dominguez in a position to win Rookie of the Year also, get the extra draft pick, but also have a full season of Dominguez. Why pull him up for the last month of the year when he alone is not the difference of this team? He alone cannot put them in the World Series. So let's get rid of this delusion now, please. Like
Jonathan Loaiza is on the 60-day IL. 60-day. Go down and look at Mitch's comment.
Jonathan Loaiza on the 40-man when he had a season-ending surgery instead of releasing him.
He's on the 60-day IL. It's a similar thing as it's.
Yeah, I mean, 60. If you're on the 60-day IL, you're off the 40-man roster, but you're still basically employed by
the 60-day IL is essentially taking you off the 40-man roster.
Yeah, and this is a good question, Mitch, but I don't think Loaiza will be back next year either. So I don't think Loaiza is going to be back. I think I'm 50-50 on Holmes right now coming back.
No.
I don't think Hanley will be back. Hanley.
No, I have a feeling they're gonna They don't they have a lot of pitchers in the minor leagues they need to protect from the 40-man from
Yeah,
the
they
Rule
do.
5 draft?
I would imagine we'll see a couple of those. They'll probably make a move in the offseason or signing or trade or something like that. They'll revamp the bullpen this offseason.
Well, I think, like you said, once the end of September, October, you need to do a video of the Rule 5 draft.
I will. I'll be doing that. I'll keep
Yeah.
because I want to go over it again because last time I did it, people had questions. I want to make sure that people understand what the Rule 5 draft and the impact they could have and who qualifies and who doesn't, because there's age criteria.
Yes.
And when you're signed internationally, when you're drafted, so they all fit into the Rule 5 draft. So I will do another video on that.
Yes.
So I will, Mitch, I will do that too. I will, I'll put like the 5 or 7 Yankees who should be protected, and 5 or 7 Yankees who might not be protected who probably will get picked up. So I'll do both sides. I'll definitely do both sides. So, Mitch, and this is like, I want to make sure that people have a better understanding of it. That's why I do videos like this. So that
what trade? Godzilla, the Yankees made a minor trade today.
Yeah, they traded with the Blue Jays for his name is Cam Eden. He's a 26-year-old outfielder, and he's very known for his speed. He's got 150 steals already in the minors, and he could be another weapon. And again, he's just got 6 at-bats in the majors, so his time service clock has not started. So that's 6 years of control for him. And they gave him what, cash considerations, Jonathan?
Yeah, it's for cash. It was cash.
So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I'm probably the next open panel I'm going to do, Sunny, will probably be this weekend or next weekend. I'll let you know. Well, Jonathan got me this intel about the trade. That's why I'm having him on. But then I got my little one here taking everything out of the damn kitchen sink here, so I got to clean the kitchen now. But I wanted to keep you updated on this trade.
So far, I haven't heard much else.
It's too late to trade for anybody on the major league roster. The trade deadline is the cutoff to trade for major leaguers. At this point now, you can only trade for minor leaguers. That's why the Yankees are also looking at Rich Hill. He's like 85 years old, left-handed starting pitcher. But, he was 8-14 last year. He also threw 150 innings. So, at 44, that's, he might at the very least be a serviceable left-handed long relief man.
When you look at Cam Eden everybody in the chat, don't look at his batting average. He's on the team. They got him to be a base stealer, not a hitter.
Yep.
So whatever his average is in the minor leagues, ignore that.
Yep. I wouldn't worry about the batting average either.
I would just focus on him being a pinch runner.
Yep.
And maybe a defensive replacement in the outfield.
With a lot of speed. A la Homer Bush. That's what Homer Bush was.
Yeah, similar to Homer Bush. Yeah, I think Homer Bush would probably had a sound like he was a better bat. But, yeah. I mean, imagine what Ricky Henderson can do with the bases today with the bigger bases.
Yeah, he's still 150 bases probably.
Yeah, his record is 130, and
yeah.
I don't know how many times did he get caught on that year that he had 130. Do you know? I never even looked that up.
No idea. And
I think that was 1980.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'll look that up later.
It doesn't matter what position he is, Jose. They're getting a fast guy. He just happens to play the outfield.
Yeah.
And again, they their outfield depth is not as substantial as their infield depth anyway at the minor league level. So, and Slim, yeah, that's the problem. Like if Rich Hill comes here and provides, and I'm not saying he will, but if he comes here and provides more value than Nestor Cortez, then that's kind of an indictment on Nestor Cortez. And this is the reason why I've, pushed to try to get him in long relief or trade him for the last 2 years.
Yeah, but another thing that the Yankees have a big problem with is they have a big problem with getting runners home that's in scoring position.
Yep, that's why you need speedy guys too. Because again, if you have a guy at second and you get a base hit, you want that guy to be able to score. If you have a guy at first and you get a double, you want that guy to be able to score. You need speedy guys like this to facilitate that.
Yeah.
Right? And J.D. Davis, he was with the Yankees, but he's with the Orioles now. The Orioles signed him a couple days ago.
Trevor Bauer is not coming to the Yankees.
Yeah, no. Bauer, no. I mean, I don't understand how it's an indictment on Cashman, but okay.
This is more an indictment on Cashman. I'm sure Cashman had a lot of trades planned that just didn't go through.
He had a verbal agreement on Flaherty, and then they look at his medicals and they weren't clean, so he backed out of it.
Okay.
So
he got Ricky Henderson stole 130 and got caught 42 times. So he's 172 stolen, tried 130 for 172. That's
Yankees need a first baseman starting pitching. Well, there's nobody that they can get now, and was there any first baseman that were traded at the deadline? I don't think so.
No, first base was not.
Josh Bell, no, he wasn't traded. He was released by the Marlins, right? So, yeah, I mean, you have T.J. Rumfield they can call up. Ben Rice, you got Anthony Rizzo coming back, so they've got depth at first base. They just don't have the first baseman that people like.
Yeah, my guess is next year they'll either keep Ben Rice or they're gonna see what they have with Rumfield, because Rumfield also sound at least his numbers look pretty good.
Yep. He should have acquired. He tried, Slim. He tried.
But
the price.
There were many options.
Right after the Kikuchi, sorry to interrupt you, Jonathan. After the Kikuchi trade with the Blue Jays, the price for pitching went sky high. Nobody.
Well, this is one thing you remember. One thing you said earlier: the Yankees should try to trade early.
Mm-hmm.
If they should not, you mentioned this many times. They should not wait for the deadline, because they waited for the deadline. The price skyrocketed,
and then you give a team like the Blue Jays the chance to fleece somebody like the Astros and set the price through the roof for Yusei Kikuchi. And then players like Flaherty and Skubal and Crochet, no wonder they were asking for 10,000 players. Because they could.
If the Yankees on July 20th try to trade Cortez, they probably could have gotten a decent package for him before that Kikuchi trade.
Yep.
So sometimes it's not always safe to wait. Sometimes it's better to what's the right word? Strike early. Strike first.
Be proactive. Strike early. Don't give other teams a chance to create a bidding war. Right.
Yes.
And I think it would be in the Yankees' best interest to do that. And I don't see Boone and Cashman being fired if they don't make the World Series or win the World Series.
No, I don't see Boone and Cashman getting fired.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what would it take for Boone and Cashman to leave. I mean, I think Boone doesn't Boone have contract over at the end of this year anyway?
Yes.
So
sorry, I'm cleaning up the floor here. My daughter made it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean,
in my opinion, the only way Boone and Cashman leave the Yankees is if they choose to.
Yep. Or if they miss the playoffs entirely. But I can't see that. I mean, this too. I mean, why? I don't understand why some channels keep peddling the same argument every single day. Fire them. Don't understand. I don't understand. Bring any value to the conversation. So. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, it is what it is. Like, who's going to come in and replace them? That's the other question.
I don't know. Yeah, the only guy I can think on the top of my head would probably be Brian Sabian.
Sabian would probably be GM. Yes, maybe.
Hi, Tiffany.
If he's willing, and I don't even know if that's going to happen.
But he's the only guy that the Yankees have a history with that they'd probably be comfortable enough to put in that situation.
Omar Minaya was a terrible GM when he was the GM of the Mets. He was like rated the worst GM in baseball.
But he's also very good at drawing talent.
Yeah, bring in an international talent. That's where I keep him.
Yeah,
He's doing a great job with that with the Yankees. I would keep him there.
He's a good international scouting.
King Blaze, the trade was Cam Eden from the Blue Jays got traded to the Yankees. He's a 26-year-old speedy outfielder and with lots of stolen bases, who could be a September call-up. He could be a long-term piece for the Yankees because he's got 6 years of control. And they gave up cash considerations for him. They didn't even give up a player. So this is one of those improving around the margins trades.
Yeah, right now.
What good is that going to do, Jose?
Right now, I haven't seen anything else.
Yeah, what good is that going to do?
Getting rid of Boone. Tony Pena, yeah. Tony Pena was someone I was interested in managing in 2009 when they hired Girardi. I like Tony Pena.
Yeah, how old is he? Is he 70 now? 75?
He's probably close to 70. So, yeah, but Tony Pena would have been a good manager, a good replacement for Girardi. I think. I think when they got rid of Tony Pena, that's when the end of Gary Sanchez's career with the Yankees was.
Yeah, I would agree. Yes, he's super fast. So basically, that's one of the skill sets the Yankees don't have that they utilize a lot of. So, exactly. Well, David, to your point too, tells it going is the offense have to carry right now because the starting pitching is. Yeah, I mean, they were clicking on all cylinders in the beginning of the year. They were the first team to 50 wins and then got hurt, right? And they did that without Garrett Cole. So, and then when Stanton got hurt, the offense kind of fell to pieces for a little while. The pitching had to pick up the load, but they weren't good enough to carry the load without Garrett Cole. So then they started falling apart too. And they're still in the division hunt here. So, how do you know that? How do you know that they would have New York more prepared?
Yeah, man,
that's a good. I mean, I'm asking you out because I want to know what your thought is on that.
I would think Mangley would be a very similar manager to Joe Torre.
I would agree.
I mean, I loved Mangley growing up. He was my guy. I'm disappointed he never got a World Series with the Yankees.
That wasn't what I asked. I asked why. It would be a great. What makes him a great manager? What would make him better than what we have now is the question. When people make these comments, I press them here. So people might not like it, but Jonathan knows I'll press anybody. Anybody.
Yeah, you know how to. How to get someone for the right answer.
Yeah, I don't care if you have 1 million subscribers. I don't care if you're employed by the team. I'll still press you because that to me forces us to think. Right, when you make comments like that, it forces us to think through your eyes, right, and it elevates the conversation. If you bring facts to the discussion, it means we should be considering your points.
Yeah, right? But is Boone's contract done at the end of this year?
This year or next year?
Let me see.
Catzilla has had 7 years. Aside from this year, Catzilla, when has Boone had a roster this good? He's had the weakest roster the Yankees have had in decades. So, and what manager would have taken him to the World Series?
So, yeah, his contract ends at the end of this year with a club option for next year. Aaron Boone.
Mm-hmm.
So he has been, assuming that they pick up his club option, he has 1 more year.
What kind of question you asked me that? I asked you why. Instead of throwing this at me, answer the question. I'm not going to stop until you answer it. Period. Okay? I just asked you why because I like to know what your thought process is. So yeah, I'm serious. That's why I asked you that question.
And one thing I brought up to you once before, I would like to see the Yankees do similar things in regards to locking up their young players. For example, if after this year they believe in Volpe, they should sign him to an 8-year extension. Don't wait until his arbitration years.
I would agree, man. We for a year now, right? We proposed extending, get Volpe locked up, get his prime years.
I mean,
do the same thing for Austin Wells. Do the same thing for Jason Dominguez if you feel like he's the answer. Lock these guys up.
If it was up to me, I'm saying Volpe after this year, his 8 years, 90 million, 100 million.
Something like that. Again, before he becomes ridiculously expensive. Consigliere, they traded for a speedy outfielder named Cam Eden, 26 years old. Super fast outfielder from the Blue Jays. For those that weren't here in the beginning, you can still make trades, but they have to be minor league players. They can't be major league players. That was the point of the deadline.
Because if the Yankees wait on Volpe, by the time he gets to free agency, he's going to be worth at least $25 million a year.
Right? And again, I'm not getting on you, Jose. I'm challenging you. Okay? I challenge people all the time on the channel because I want them to elevate their thinking, right? That's it. I don't need to be right. I don't need an ego stroke all the time. Some other people do. I don't need it. Okay? I don't need you to agree with me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you're right, you're right. I'll happily admit that. So, but this is why I push people, because I want us to all elevate the conversation. It elevates the channel, right? I'm not going to sit here. I ask any Yankees, they were like, now I'm asking you, Jose. See, again, you're doing it again. Deflection. He did great with the Yankees as what? Knows the Yankee system. So does Manaea. So does Brian Sabian. So does Aaron Boone. So does. And again, this is your argument, Jose. This is the argument you're going with. Just want to make sure. And you're gonna stand by that one.
Honestly, if there is a new Yankee manager next year, I think the most likely option would be Al Smith.
Probably.
Although, you know who I would think would be a good Yankee manager? Who's that? I think Shelley Duncan would be a good Yankee manager.
Duncan would be an intriguing one.
I think Shelley Duncan would probably make a good Yankee manager.
Yeah.
So if I had a choice, I would choose Shelley Duncan to replace Boone. He already worked with the minor league system. He knows the players. He's a former player. He knows the Yankees. He's been a part of the Yankees for 20 years. He knows what to do.
Tomorrow isn't worth locking up with his current level. His batting average is 50 points higher than it was last year. He's on course to win a second Gold Glove. That's progress. Are you expecting Bobby Witt Jr.? That's one reason he's the best shortstop in baseball, because he's Bobby Witt. But how many shortstop that are significantly better than Anthony Volpe is the question. And what's the problem with Anthony Volpe here?
Yeah. I mean, if you think some of these guys in the system, such as Roderick Arias or someone else, is better,
he'd be moving up quicker. He wouldn't be hitting under 200 in low A.
Yeah, then I think Roderick Arias is at least 2 years away from being a major league player.
I'm going to say 3.
3.
I'm going to say George Lombard, probably the same thing.
Yeah. So they don't really have someone knocking on the door to replace Volpe immediately for at least 2 years, probably 3.
Christopher, it did pass, but now you can trade for minor leaguers. After the deadline, you can only trade for minor league players. And the Yankees traded for a minor league player today.
Yes.
So.
And you also can pick up guys who've been dropped.
Yes, they can make waiver claims and pick up guys that clear waivers and become free agents. They can do that too. That's right. If you refuse to trade Lombard and Arias, you don't lock up Volpe. You guys are illustrating part of the problem. What does that have to do with Cashman, Slim?
Well,
Lombard and Arias, neither one of them is better than Volpe. Look at their stats.
And honestly, I think Lombard can probably move to
Who's
third
third
base.
base?
I think Lombard will eventually move to third base.
Yeah. Why did Lombard get promoted and not Roderick Arias?
Because Lombard is playing better.
He's better than Arias. Period. Right? So
I mean,
if Arias was that good, if he was in the conversation, he'd be up higher. He's in low A right now. He'd be up higher.
but if I remember correctly, a lot of teams were asking for Arias in trades. So a lot of teams see his potential.
Yeah, I'm not saying he doesn't have potential as a switch hitter, but he's not better than Volpe right now.
No, not right now. He's only, what, 17, 18?
He's 19 now.
19?
Yeah. And
So he has another. If he's still like this by the end of next year, then we can say he's not so good. Give Arias one more year in the minors and then make a decision about who's better.
Cadzilla, the accountable argument, that doesn't please stop using the other channel's argument. Please. Their argument is so weak. Okay? I don't even need to name drop. We already know what the channel is. Okay? Okay? And hold players accountable like what? We as fans, we don't see what's going on behind the scenes in the locker room and in the dugouts. They don't really point those things out. So what do you and the fact is, and I said this too, who are you going to bench him for when the backups are also on the IL? Can anybody answer that question?
I don't know.
You have the guys who would replace him that are also on the IL. So
yeah,
what do you bench him for? That's going to be
yeah.
that.
If Everson Pereira was not on the IL, I'm sure he would have gotten some playing time in the majors.
Dominguez wasn't on the IL. He'd be replacing Giancarlo Stanton, but he is. He was on the IL for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but that was the fact. We didn't want that, but that was.
I think Caleb Durbin was also on the IL for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and he got benched, Cadzilla. He got benched, not hustling. He got benched for not hustling. Okay. So, what else do you want? Do you want Boone to throw him a beating on the field?
Oh. They can't call up Durbin immediately. They have to make a 40-man roster spot for him.
Yes, they have to make a 40-man roster. And keep in mind, folks, these guys are highly paid millionaire players. This isn't Little League. Okay? This is their job. And when players make more than the manager, it's hard to manage the team. Or harder to manage a team. I don't care what any channel says. They don't play baseball. They don't have experience. Okay?
And the majority of players,
common sense.
The majority of players make more than the manager.
Yes, just like the NFL. NFL players very rarely listen to their managers. There's maybe a number of managers on one hand that had like a Vince Lombardi, but who's the Vince Lombardi in baseball? There isn't a manager right now that doesn't have problematic players or non-hustling players.
Maybe the managers who fight back, like old school Bochy, maybe.
We don't know.
I don't know.
No idea. We're just going to. We're sitting on assumptions made by other channels every single day, who don't know the inside of it either. Who claim to know on the inside, they don't. So what are we arguing over here? I'm not trying to argue with you guys for either. Now, like I said, I'll say this again. If we're going to be pissed, let's make sure we're pissed off in the facts, at the right reasons. We don't know all this, the whole story.
Yeah, we also got 66 likes.
All right, 66 likes. Hopefully we'll get 100. DFA Grisham has a year to go. Torres, I can understand the DFA.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah, Grisham's got another year of control. My guess they're going to try to trade him in the offseason.
Yes, but Grisham is also a fast guy. He could pinch run.
And he's the best defensive outfielder we have.
Yeah, so I don't see him being DFA'd. I could see him being traded at the end of the year.
That's it. NBA, yeah, is notorious for not letting exactly.
Well, NBA is a very emotional sport. You see, every play they put their full emotion into the play.
Yeah, there's also 5 guys on the field. 5 guys on the court. 5 guys.
And yeah, with five players, so it's much easier to coach 5 players than 9 plus.
Yeah. So this is the thing, right? I could definitely see Torres being DFA'd. I can see Canely being DFA'd if they bring in an arm to replace him. And only for that reason. I think.
Well, that arm was Neely.
It could have been Neely, but it's not now. So
Yes.
we got Leiter. I like Leiter. So
it was always my assumption if Neely wasn't traded, he would have been called up on August 1st.
You know, it's funny too, Corey, this accountability argument. The same people that call for it all the times take zero ownership when they ask Cashman to make trades, and when he makes the trades and they don't work, they never own the fact that they asked them to make those trades, ever.
Well, yeah,
they never own that. This accountability, where's the accountability there?
There's perfect examples. Gallo, for example, is someone I never wanted them to get.
Yeah.
They got him. I think both of us, I don't think you ever wanted Gallo.
Nope.
But I told you at the time.
People were begging for Gallo because he's a Goomba. People were begging, we want this Italian player. People were on this channel screaming for him because he was a Goomba Italian player, which is fine, okay? But he was not a fit here, unfortunately, right?
No, he would never fit. And the players, the players that we traded for, what could we do? Yeah. What would happen if we still had Josh Smith on this team?
Yeah.
We could have got rid of Torres.
I just looked at the clock. I've got to wrap this up, gang. I'm late.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Sorry, Jonathan, to cut you off. I didn't even realize the time. Don't worry. I will go back. I want to continue with you all tonight because this is an important conversation to have. And if you're around tonight, join me. I'll be live again for the game. Hopefully, are they postponed tonight?
Yes, they're postponed.
So they're postponed. So they're not going to play tonight. But I will probably go live again tonight. We could talk about it because there are players that people in channel specifically ask all the time about.
Oh.
They were begging for Rodon.
Yeah.
When Rodon didn't pan out, it was all blame Cashman. Never, it's a terrible trade. Even though I asked you to make it, I asked you to sign him. You never hear channels owning up to that stuff. I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just saying accountability's got to go both ways. You can't just be let's pile on Boone, let's pile on Cashman. When we ask them to make the same moves that they actually make.
Yeah, and you never know what they want, what in this trade, what they want in return. Yep. Would you be happy if you wanted a guy like Gallo, but you traded Arias for him?
For who?
A guy like Gallo because you just wanted Arias? No, of course not. So you have to think about what are we giving up to get this player that you want?
Yep.
It's not always black and white.
Yep. And keep these questions in mind, gang. I want to have to continue this conversation. I'm sorry to wrap this up. I got to go pick up my daughters from camp before they ream me out for being late. So have a great day, everybody. Peace and love. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in. Again, keep chiming in. Okay? You can push me, but I'm going to push you back. That's why I want to do this. Okay? You want to ask about Dominguez what makes Dominguez the best player in the field? Who cares about his service time? The Yankees care about his service time. That's why. And he alone is not going to put them in the World Series. Everybody knows that.
No. The Yankees are not one player away from
the World
Series.
They're not one player away. You're right about that. He alone is not enough. Better than Verdugo? According to you, maybe. But Verdugo's here now. Verdugo's here. Okay, look up Oscar Gonzalez, too. He's playing in AAA. Right? Before I leave. Oscar Gonzalez. Okay. Stats. Oh, wait. Minor league baseball stats, right? Yeah. He's playing in AAA right now, right? Of course, I don't see his 24 stats. I got to look him up. But he's another guy they have. They're multiple players away. Dominguez is not enough.
Yeah,
and
they have a little bit of work to do in the.
And they're not going to risk his service time when they know he's not enough. They're not going to do that. See? And
the one thing the Yankees are doing is they have to do whatever they can to re-sign Soto.
That's it, Soto, and he's not better than Soto.
No,
not better than Judge either. So
there is no outfielder that's better than Soto that the Yankees can get.
It's also a reason why teams ask for Jones and not Dominguez. I'll leave you with that. Lots of teams demanded Spencer Jones, not Jason Dominguez. Okay, so keep that chip in mind too. We'll continue to discuss this. I'm looking forward to it. Have a great day, everybody. I go get the girls before I get in trouble.
So, Jason, have you finished?